There comes a moment in your journey when everything stops. Not because you failed, not because you've gone backward, but because something else is asking for your attention. That something is silence, and it is not empty. It is a spiral waiting for you. By the time you arrive at this fourth stage, the spiral is no longer pushing you. It is not breaking you anymore. It is not unraveling your belief systems or distorting your reflection. That has already happened. If you're here, you've already slept through the echo. You've already shattered the illusion in the fracture. You've already faced your reflection in the rift. What happens now is different. This is the spiral split. At first, it may feel like nothing at all, like stillness, like a lack of guidance, as if the energy stopped flowing or your progress has paused. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is something much more subtle and far more powerful. The spiral is no longer teaching you with disruption. It is now showing you with contrast. Not conflict, not force, just quiet comparison. Two paths appear. They may not look like paths. They may show up as choices, patterns, relationships, habits, cravings, or opportunities. One feels familiar, it feels like home. Not because it's aligned, but because you've practiced it. You've repeated it, you've survived through it. And so your nervous system calls it safe. The other path is quieter. It doesn't promise anything. It doesn't even have a name, but it vibrates with something deeper. Not louder, just deeper. And if you listen close enough, you'll feel it. A current underneath your normal thoughts, a pulse beneath your usual emotions, a direction that doesn't explain itself, but somehow still feels more honest than anything else you've known. This is not a moral choice. This is not about good versus bad. This is not even about right versus wrong. This is about tone, resonance, frequency. You are not being asked to choose a belief. You are being asked to choose a becoming. The spiral split is the moment where two tones vibrate inside you at the same time. One belongs to your past, the other belongs to your possible future. One is known, one is real but not yet visible, and the longer you hesitate, the more pressure you'll feel. Not because the spiral is judging you, but because it is listening, and because it is mirroring your tone back to you. Let's name the first path, the familiar one. We'll call it the loop. The loop isn't evil, it's not negative. It's not even wrong. The loop is just tired. It is built from your old survival patterns, your former truths, your outdated needs. It can still feel good. It can still feel safe. It can still reward you with small doses of peace. But it no longer supports your evolution, because it cannot. You have already outgrown its foundation. The loop will tell you things that sound wise. It will say things like, "You're not ready yet," or "You still need to heal more," or maybe "You should wait until the energy feels right." It might even wrap itself in spiritual language. It might say, "I'm protecting my peace," or "I'm setting a boundary," or "I'm in a season of reflection." And some of that may be true, but if you're honest with yourself, you'll know when it's not. You'll know when it's actually resistance disguised as wisdom. Now let's talk about the second path, the spiral path, the one that rises without announcing itself. It doesn't hand you a roadmap. It doesn't give you a reward. What it does is ask you to tune in. And when you do, it will ask you to follow your resonance, even if it doesn't yet make sense. This path often looks like loss at first. You might feel like you're walking away from everything. You might feel like you're letting go of something you thought you needed. You might even feel like you're betraying parts of yourself. But that's only because you're not betraying yourself. You're betraying your former limitations. You are not discarding who you were. You are acknowledging that version of you has done its job. It brought you here, and now it's time to move forward. The spiral doesn't demand speed. It doesn't ask you to be certain. It asks you to be willing. Willing to walk forward without having to explain yourself to the world you're leaving behind. Willing to follow what feels real, not what feels safe. Willing to let go of what was so what is becoming can finally arrive. And at this stage, nothing outside you can guide that decision. Not your friends, not your favorite book, not a sign in the sky. Only your tone can make that choice. The spiral will not speak again until your frequency answers first. If you've been wondering why things feel paused, or why your energy isn't moving, or why nothing feels like it's working, this is why. The spiral isn't blocked, it's listening, and what it's waiting for is you. This is the spiral split, and it's only just begun. Let's pick up where we left off. You've reached the spiral split. The moment when your tone becomes your compass. Not your thoughts, not your conditioning, not even your beliefs. Just tone, just resonance. From here, something begins to stir inside you. Two versions of yourself. Two distinct identities that feel real and at the same time. One version knows how to survive, how to fit in, how to avoid conflict, how to succeed in systems that no longer match your soul. The other version isn't fully formed. It doesn't have a name yet. It doesn't have a 5-step plan, but it vibrates in your bones like a truth you forgot to remember. This is the internal war of the spiral split, and it's not dramatic, it's subtle. You might call it resistance. You might call it burnout. You might call it doubt. But underneath every one of those labels is transformation asking for permission to emerge. Most people think awakening is a climb, but this stage shows you it's a choice. Not a loud one, not a ceremonial one, but a quiet, private, internal moment where your frequency either loops or begins to lift. You'll feel the temptation to stay the same, to turn around, to settle for almost, to repeat what you've already survived because at least it's familiar. But if you really stop and listen, not to your mind but to your tone, you'll realize something. The cost of repeating has changed. It used to feel safe, now it feels heavy. It used to bring relief, now it brings resistance. It used to protect you, now it delays you. Because you're not who you were. And the spiral has already shifted around your new self. Even if you haven't fully stepped into it yet, this is when grief comes in. And not just grief for others. Not just grief for relationships or old timelines, but grief for who you've been. You may find yourself crying for a version of you that used to be so strong, so certain, so full of conviction, but that version is dissolving. Not because it was false, but because it was finished. That's what the spiral teaches us. Not everything that ends is wrong. Some things end because they've done their job, and now they're ready to become something new. But you can't become new while gripping what's gone. You can't spiral forward while clutching the loop. The spiral split is the moment when you let go of needing certainty and trust resonance instead. You may not know what's next. You may not know what you're stepping into. But if you know what no longer fits, that's enough. That's all the spiral needs to respond. Because the spiral doesn't require you to be ready. It only requires you to be honest. It doesn't demand perfection. It simply responds to your tone, always, exactly, without judgment. And here's what else it does. If you choose the loop again, it won't shame you. It won't punish you. It won't close the gate. It will simply meet you there, in the loop, with more mirrors, more lessons, more echoes of the self you're still pretending to be, until eventually, even the loop becomes unbearable, until comfort turns to compression, and the old stories no longer satisfy the soul that's already spiraling in secret. And then, you'll know. Not because someone told you, not because a video inspired you, but because you feel it. Your yes will sound different. Your no will sound final. Your path will not require explanation. It will hum beneath your feet with clarity that only tone can unlock. This is the turning point. Not the end of your awakening, but the end of your delay. The beginning of walking not by evidence, but by resonance. Not by logic, but by frequency. From here, things will start to change. People will shift around you. Opportunities will rearrange. Some things will fall away. Not because you lost them, but because they no longer match what you've become. The spiral will mirror all of it. And not just the light. It will show you the shadows still looping. It will reveal the echoes still tied to your voice, not to punish, but to let you choose again, with more awareness this time. And the more awareness you bring to your tone, the more aligned your spiral becomes. Not faster, just clearer. More honest, more precise. More you, so now it's time. Time to ask the real question. What tone are you living in right now? Not what tone you believe in, not what tone you hope for, but what tone your life is actually expressing. If you can hear that honestly, you are already spiraling. The spiral split is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the version of you who doesn't need loops anymore to feel alive. That version is waiting, not out there, but inside. Already vibrating beneath the surface, already calling you forward. So tune to that tone, let it rise, and let the spiral rise with it. Because this isn't the end, it's the pivot, it's the turning point. And if you're here now, you've already begun to walk it.